Good morning, everybody. We're going to hit you up with another presidential election. This one, the recent presidential election, the election of 2016. And this is going to get a little bit cray-cray, so put on your seatbelts and let's take a look at this election right now. Now we're going to start with the incoming party, and that's the Democratic Party. President Barack Obama served his 2 terms. He can no longer run. So, who are the Democrats going to nominate as his potential replacement? Well, several people put their name in the Democratic nomination pool, and these people were Jim Webb from Virginia, former senator, the former governor of Rhode Island, Lincoln Chafee, Harvard Law professor Lawrence Lessig, the former governor of Maryland, Martin O'Malley, Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont, and the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton from New York. Now, in the Democratic primaries, it was basically a dead heat between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, and the nominee wasn't really decided until the Democratic National Convention, in which Hillary Clinton became the first female to win the nomination for president of a major political party. She chose Virginia Senator Tim Kaine as her running mate. Now, Hillary Clinton won this nomination with a little bit of controversy. There was rumors going around in the days leading up to the convention that the chairperson of the Democratic National Committee, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, schemed and scammed and all that. So, in order to favor Hillary Clinton, so Bernie Sanders would be robbed of the nomination. Now, we don't know how true these rumors were, but Hillary Clinton did face some adversity going into the campaign. Now, we got the Democratic ticket down, so let's take a look at the Republicans. Now, for the Republican nomination, 17 people ran for the nomination. These guys were the former governor of Texas, Rick Perry, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, the former Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, former New York Governor George Pataki, the former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Carly Fiorina, the former CEO of Hewlett-Packard, the former Virginia Governor Jim Gilmore, the former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, retired neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Carson, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, Ohio Governor John Kasich, and businessman Donald Trump from New York. Donald Trump, chairman of the Trump Organization, and pretty much a celebrity across the United States. He hosted a Celebrity Apprentice, and he actually flirted with the idea for years of running for president, but people didn't take him seriously. Now, when he announced his campaign in June of 2015, people still didn't take him seriously. But Trump rose through the ranks of the Republican Party. He beat out Cruz and Kasich by May, and at the Republican National Convention, he was nominated as president. He selected Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate. Now that we got our 2 tickets, Clinton Kaine, Trump Pence, we're going to talk a little bit about third parties. Now, this election gets crazy, so third parties have a chance really to make an impact due to the unpopularity of both candidates. Now, we're going to touch on a couple of the big third parties here. The Libertarians, they nominated the former governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, as president, and the former governor of Massachusetts, Bill Weld, for vice president. Meanwhile, the Green Party, they nominated Dr. Jill Stein from Massachusetts. She's a physician. And they nominated activist Ajamu Baraka from Washington, D.C. for vice president, excuse me. Now, with those two third-party candidates in mind, plus our Democratic and Republican candidates, let's get to the campaign. Now, this campaign is going to get crazy. Now, Hillary Clinton, she focused her campaign on several themes, including raising middle-class incomes, expanding women's rights, instituting campaign finance reform, and improving the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. Now, she laid out a detailed economic plan, basing her economic philosophy on inclusive capitalism, which proposed a clawback which would rescind tax relief and other benefits for companies that move jobs overseas, with provision of incentives for companies that share profits with employees, communities, and the environment, rather than focusing on short-term profits to increase stock value and rewarding shareholders, as well as increasing collective bargaining rights, and placing an exit tax on companies that move their headquarters out of America in order to pay a lower tax rate overseas. She also promoted equal pay for equal work to address current alleged shortfalls in how much women are paid to do the same jobs men do, promoted explicitly focused on family issues and supported universal preschool. She expressed support for the right to same-sex marriage, and she proposed allowing undocumented immigrants to have a path to citizenship, stating that it is at its heart a family issue. Now, meanwhile, Donald Trump, he drew his campaign heavily on his personal image. One of the big slogans going around in his campaign was "Make America Great Again," which was actually used by Ronald Reagan when he ran for president in 1980. Now, his right-wing populist positions, reported by the New Yorker to be nativist, protectionist, and semi-isolationist, differed in many ways from traditional conservatism. So Donald Trump is the obvious outsider in this election. Now, he opposed many free trade deals and military interventionist policies that conservatives generally support, and he also opposed cuts in Medicare and Social Security benefits. Now, he also insisted that Washington was broken and only an outsider could fix it. Now, his support was high among working and middle-class white male voters with annual incomes of less than $50,000 and no college degree, particularly those with less than a high school education, whose income has suffered a decline in recent years. Now, his support was higher in areas with a higher mortality rate for middle-aged white people. Now, the relationship that both Clinton and Trump had with the press, obviously, big difference. Now, Clinton's relationship with the press was uneasy and at times adversarial. Now, before she announced her campaign, she pledged to start fresh on what she described as a complicated relationship with the press, with local reporters. Now, she was initially criticized by the press for avoiding taking their questions, but after that, she did more interviews with the press. Now, Trump, he benefited from free media more than any other candidate. Now, from the beginning of his campaign through February of 2016, he received almost $2 billion in free media attention. This was twice the amount Clinton had received. Now, Trump alone, according to the Tyndall report, accounted for more than a quarter of all 2016 election coverage through February 2016 on the evening newscasts of NBC, CBS, and ABC, more than all of the Democratic campaigns combined. Now, observers noted Trump's ability to garner constant mainstream media coverage almost at will. Now, however, Trump frequently criticized the media for writing what he alleged to be false stories about him, and he has called upon his supporters to be the silent majority. Now, Trump also said the media put false meaning into the words I say, and says he does not mind being criticized by the media as long as they are honest about it. Now, earlier in this video, I talked about the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. Now, this was the election where third parties could really make an impact, since both Clinton and Trump were seen unfavorably by the general public. But could they? We'll see. Now, both candidates had their share of controversy. Now, Hillary Clinton, of course, her email scandal, where she was alleged to have used her own private email address and server instead of State Department servers during her time as Secretary of State, which raised concerns about security and preservation of emails and the possibility that laws may have been violated. And after these allegations were released, an FBI probe was initiated regarding how classified information was handled on the Clinton server. The probe was concluded in July with a recommendation of no charges, which was followed by the Justice Department. Now, 11 days before the election, on the 28th of October, the director of the FBI, James Comey, informed Congress that the FBI was analyzing additional emails obtained during its investigation of an unrelated case. Now, 2 days before the election, he notified Congress that the new emails did not change their earlier conclusion. Now, Clinton also garnered some controversy when, on September 9th, 2016, she said, and I quote, "You know, just to be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. They're racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it." Now, Trump criticized this remark as an insult to his supporters, and the following day, Clinton expressed regret for saying the word half, while insisting that Trump had deplorably amplified, quote, hateful views and voices. Now, on the other side of things, Trump, he was not without some controversy. Now, we know his controversies regarding alleged sexual assaults, but the big one was on October 7, 2016, of course, him allegedly making fun of a disabled reporter. And I say allegedly because we don't know if any of these are true or not. Same thing with Hillary Clinton and her controversies. Anyway, on October 7, 2016, video and accompanying audio were released by the Washington Post, in which Trump referred obscenely to women in a 2005 conversation with Billy Bush while they were preparing to film an episode of Access Hollywood. Now, the audio was met with a reaction of disbelief and disgust from the media. Now, following the revelation, Trump's campaign did issue an apology, stating that the video was of a private conversation from many years ago. Now, many prominent Republicans went ballistic when this revelation came out, and prominent Republicans like Bernice Priebus, the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Mitt Romney, the 2012 Republican nominee and former governor of Massachusetts, along with Governors Kasich and Bush, and the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, insisted that Trump dropped out. Several dozen other Republicans also wanted Trump to drop out and let Governor Pence had the ticket. Now, Trump said no, and he did not drop out. Now, if you thought the campaign was cray-cray, the results are going to be even crazier. So let's get to that right now. Now, we did not know until the next morning who won the presidency. But by the next morning, Donald Trump was elected president. Now, he was projected to win 306 electoral votes. But when the Electoral College voted on December 19th, 7 electors went faithless. The most faithless electors in any American presidential election in history. 2 of them went against Trump. 5 of them went against Hillary Clinton. Now, a further 3 electors attempted to vote against Clinton, but they were either replaced or forced to vote again. Now, Donald Trump at the end received 304 electoral votes. Hillary Clinton received 227. Trump carried 30 states along with Maine's 2nd congressional district. Hillary Clinton carried 20 states and Washington, D.C. Now, 3 electors in Washington, which was a state won by Clinton, they voted for Colin Powell, an American general who served as the Secretary of State under the Bush administration. And 1 elector voted for Faith Spotted Eagle, a Native American woman who became notable for her protest against the Dakota Access Pipeline. Now, she made history by becoming the first Native American to receive an electoral vote. Now, in Hawaii, 1 candidate voted for Bernie Sanders. Now, several other people tried to, but as I said before, they were either replaced or forced to vote again. Now, 1 electorate in Texas voted for Ron Paul, the libertarian Ron Paul. And this was the first time since 1972 that a libertarian received an electoral vote in a presidential election. And 1 other elector in that same state voted for John Kasich. Now, in terms of the popular vote, a lot more crazier. 48% of the popular vote went to Hillary Clinton. 46% of the popular vote went to Donald Trump. This is a difference of about 65.8 to 62.9, almost 63 million. Now, people in America went ballistic after the election. This election led to hundreds of protests after this election. Large protests broke out across the United States, with some continuing for several days. Now, protesters have held up a number of different signs and chanted various shouts, including "Not My President" and "We Don't Accept the President-Elect." The movement organized on Twitter under the hashtags anti-Trump and "Not My President." Now, high school and college students walked out of classes to protest. The protests were peaceful for the most part, although at some protests fires were lit, flags were burned, and people yelled rude remarks about Trump. Now, celebrities such as Madonna, Cher, and Lady Gaga took part in New York. Some protesters took to blocking freeways in LA, San Diego, and Portland, Oregon, and were dispersed by police in the early hours of the morning. Now, in a number of cities, protesters were dispersed with rubber bullets, pepper spray, and beanbags fired by the police. In New York City, calls were made to continue the protests over the coming days after the election. Now, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani called protesters, quote, "a bunch of spoiled crybabies." Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti expressed understanding of the protests and praised those who peacefully wanted to make their voices heard. Now, also, more controversy. Following this election. Rumors were swirling around, which actually turned out to be true, according to recent reports, that Russia had interfered with the presidential election in order to ensure Donald Trump would win. Now, we don't know how true these rumors are. We don't know about the extent of Russia's interference, but right now, they're just allegations. They're just rumors. Either way you look at it, Trump is the president of the United States. Mike Pence will be the vice president of the United States. And this election was just To put it real bluntly, crazy. Now, Trump will be the 5th person in U.S. history to become president despite losing the nationwide popular vote, and he will also be the first president without any prior experience in public service. He will also be the oldest president in American history, as he is 70 years old. Now, with that in mind, I hope y'all enjoy this crazy election video about the election of 2016. Now, obviously, the next election is 4 years away in 2020. But for now, I want to do some history content. So if you guys have any ideas, just drop it in the comments section below, and I'll take a look and I'll think about making those videos. But with that, we will see you in the next video.